News junkies out there will be familiar with the media pundit who seems to be everywhere on every story. You know the types we're talking about, the ones who seem to flit from one news studio to the next, lending their so-called expertise, which is often just their opinion, on whatever story is making news that particular day. Producers love them because regardless of whether they're actually qualified to discuss the issue at hand, they spit out sound bites the way a machine gun deals out bullets, quickly and often. Some of these pundits for hire are out to market themselves and their personal brand. Others might be plugging a book. Some just like the attention. The serious side of this story has to do with the demands of 24-hour news channels, the pressure created by deadlines, and the resultant lack of diversity in the voices that make it onto the air. In the UK, they call professional pundits rent-a-gobs, rent-a-mouths. In North America, they call them the usual suspects. The Listening Post's Nick Muirhead now on professional media pundits and what they tell us about the nature of the news business.
He has spoken on the Mumbai terrorist attacks.
You can't have a situation where 20 people hold an entire nation of 1.1 billion people to ransom.
Corruption in Indian politics.
All parties are tarred with the same brush.
Corruption in Indian cricket.
It was uncompassionate to suspend the guy by sending him an SMS or an email at 1:06 a.m.
Even a conspiracy that a bee attack was politically motivated.
Let's say the DIG indicts all these bees. Where are we going to jail them?
But while Suhail Seth can comment on just about any subject, you may ask why a brand management consultant is doing all the talking.
I'm not the only motor mouth or the opinion person or the talking head in India. If I'm being called, there's a reason for me being called. If you have anyone to blame, ask the guys who call me. I'm not forcing my way every day as an intruder into a television studio, grabbing the microphone and saying, hey guys, listen to me.
But here's someone who pretty much does. Meet Greg Packer from Huntington, New York. He has made it his mission to get into the media as many times as possible. And for the last 18 years, he's excelled at it, clocking up nearly 1,000 media appearances.
I like to be in the media because it's a way for me to show off, what I'm doing to my friends and my family.
While he could have done all that on Facebook, it would have meant that news consumers would have missed out on Packer's 2 cents on the new iPhone.
Beautiful!
Or Pope John Paul II's death.
He knows it's God is calling him.
Or the Brooklyn Bridge's 125th anniversary.
It's amazing it's still standing after 125 years.
All events that he said he traveled to specifically to get his name in the papers or his mug on TV. And he wasn't going to let anyone stand in his way.
And nobody's going to stop me, not even Osama bin Laden.
The Packer phenomenon is an example of this peculiar laziness that is common all across the world, even in the best news organizations, in which they need to find a voice off the street to say something completely obvious. If you're, for example, standing in line to buy an iPhone for 24 hours, it is fairly obvious that you're a fan of the iPhone. Why do you need to then interview one person off that line to say, yes, I'm looking for an iPhone 5! Oh wow, I really like the iPhone. The point is that Packer managed to be that one guy over and over again because that one guy is really not important. He's saying something completely obvious. It doesn't matter who's saying it.
Greg Packer's not the issue. The issue is the journalists who always call the same places. I see this myself. After I'm on this segment, probably somebody else will call me because I've been around. That's what happens. What we need is deeper reporting. But what we need even more than that is diversity of voices.
Eventually, the Associated Press news agency came to the same conclusion. Its memo in 2003 told staff not to interview Packer anymore, saying that a Nexus search of his name turned up more than 100 mentions in various publications, and that was just a handful of the stories. The AP edict could have been seen as a speed bump in Packer's media career. He sees it as a milestone.
Some of my highlights of my media career is when the AP had to ban me because they've quoted me too many times. The memo said that the world is full of all kinds of interesting people. I was one of them, and that I was eager to be quoted, and AP said, let's be eager too to quote other people.
So in the spirit of diversity, we too were eager to quote someone else. Larry Sabato is an American political analyst who has been described as the most quoted college professor in the land. So the Listening Post contacted him, asking for an interview. It turns out one subject Professor Sabato chose not to lend his expertise to is the preponderance of overexposed media pundits. Here at the Listening Post, we weren't quite sure what to make of that. An academic who's appeared in the media of 46 out of America's 50 states actually turned us down for an interview. It's what you might call an exclusive. But in the fast-paced era of 24-hour news, what makes the Sabatos, the Seths, and the Packers so appealing, so airworthy, is their availability. And too often in newsrooms, journalists who start out looking for diverse voices end up, because of their deadline, with the same old voices.
When you think about it, going on television is an imposition. You have to be in town, you have to come to the studio, and so when you find people who are willing to do that, they're kind of golden. And the booker's job is to get somebody right now for this segment, somebody who can talk about oil, somebody who can talk about crime, get them in here. And so that's why we get this level of repetition.
TV news media in India in particular is very, very short of voices and very, very long on time. You have 24 hours to fill. There are dozens of 24-hour news channels. They all are talking about the same thing at the same time. And if you have to fill that airtime, you're going to go back to the same people who appear to be able to talk about anything. And so he'll say to just one of the people who has a certain glib phrase, a certain knowledge of a large number of things, and so is on television night after night.
The US has 4 24-hour news channels. India has 63. That's more than 1,500 hours of airtime that Indian journalists have to contend with every day. And it keeps Suhail Seth busy. But like any celebrity will tell you, living a life in the media spotlight has consequences. Because public demand doesn't always end when the cameras stop rolling.
Someone will come to you and say, you know, I saw you on that television program and what you said about Obama, but you see on Syria, and earlier I would get involved. Until one of India's most revered anchors taught me the best trick of my life. He says the next time someone comes up to you and says, by the way, I saw you on television, that guy's not interested in your opinion. He's actually seen your opinion on television. He wants the opportunity for him to articulate his opinion to you. So all you have to do is say, yeah, I did say that. Forget me. What do you think?
Perhaps there's a media pundit in all of us, just waiting to be heard, waiting to be seen. And given the right platform, just about any story will do.
More Global Village Voices now on the usual suspects popping up on your screens.
This phenomenon is frequent in Italy. The loudest is a guy who appears on all sorts of TV shows. He talks about politics, art, as well as gossip. And then when somebody disagrees with his opinions, he goes for the jugular and starts screaming and insulting people furiously. It's the easiest way for journalists and producers to get opinions and keep ratings high.
In Egypt, after the 30th of June, there was one name that was everywhere in the international media. This name is Gihad al-Haddad. He is the spokesperson of Muslim Brotherhood. He was quoted, I think, in the 2 weeks after the 30th of June, not less than 2-3 times daily in newspapers. The other thing is that Al-Haddad family are all spokespersons. This family are quoted everywhere in the international media. They are commenting on everything that has to do with Egyptian politics and the Muslim Brotherhood.